You ever notice how most people spend their free time, scrolling, watching, consuming, but never actually building anything? Now imagine this. Same 24 hours. Same life. But instead of wasting time, you're stacking skills that make you sharper, stronger, more interesting, and honestly, harder to ignore. That's the difference between the 99% and the 1%. Today, I'm not giving you random hobbies. I'm giving you 10 badass hobbies that actually upgrade your life. These are the kind of hobbies that build confidence, discipline, and presence, the kind of things people can feel when you walk into a room. And by the end of this video, you're going to look at your free time very differently. But quick challenge before we start, if you're serious about becoming that 1%, hit subscribe right now. No hesitation. Because the person you're trying to become, they don't wait. Let's get into it. First, physical mastery. There's something different about people who train their bodies with intent. Not just going to the gym and going through the motions, but actually pushing limits. Whether it's strength training, calisthenics, or combat sports, when you commit to this, your posture changes, your energy changes, your mindset changes. You don't just look stronger, you become harder to break. And people notice that without you saying a word. Next, learning how to fight. Boxing, Muay Thai, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, this isn't about violence. It's about control. When you know you can defend yourself, you move through the world differently. You're calmer. More focused. Less reactive. Ironically, the people who know how to fight are usually the ones who avoid it. That's power. Now let's talk about building something real. Most people consume content. Very few create. Start writing. Start making videos. Start building something online. At first, it's awkward. You'll doubt yourself. Nobody will watch. But that's where the shift happens. Because while everyone else is scrolling, you're creating. And creation builds confidence like nothing else. Another one, learning high-value skills. Editing, coding, copywriting, design, skills that actually pay. This isn't just a hobby. This is leverage. You go from someone who depends on opportunities, to someone who creates them. And once you taste that freedom, you won't go back. Let's get uncomfortable for a second. Public speaking. Yeah, most people avoid it. That's exactly why you shouldn't. When you can stand in front of people and communicate clearly, confidently, you instantly separate yourself. It's one of the fastest ways to become more influential, more respected, and more valuable. Now, discipline hobbies. Cold showers. Early morning routines. Daily journaling. Simple. Yes. Easy. No. These habits train your mind to do things even when you don't feel like it. And that's the real difference maker in life. Motivation fades. Discipline doesn't. Let's talk about reading. Not just random books, but books that actually challenge your thinking. When you read consistently, you start seeing patterns. You understand people better. You make better decisions. It's like upgrading your brain without anyone noticing, until it shows. Next, networking with intention. Most people only talk to people they already know. Start stepping out of that. Go to events. Join communities. Have real conversations. Because opportunities don't just appear, they come through people. And the right conversation can change your entire direction. Another powerful one, learning a new language. It's not just about speaking, it's about thinking differently. It opens doors culturally, socially, and even professionally. And it makes you stand out in ways most people never will. Finally, mastering solitude. This one is underrated. Being able to sit alone, without needing constant distraction, that's rare. That's where clarity comes from. That's where you figure out who you actually are, and what you actually want. And most people never reach that point. Now here's the truth. None of these hobbies are easy. That's the whole point. The 1% doesn't do what's easy, they do what's effective. So the real question is, which one are you starting today? Not tomorrow. Not next week. Today. Drop a comment right now and tell me which hobby you're committing to. I read every single one. And if you made it this far, you're already ahead of most people watching this. So go ahead, subscribe, stay consistent, and start becoming the version of yourself most people never will. Because average is crowded. But the top. There's always room. Now here's where most people mess this up. They get motivated, they pick a hobby, and then they quit the moment it gets uncomfortable. That's not a hobby problem. That's a mindset problem. Because anything that actually transforms you is going to feel hard in the beginning. Awkward. Slow. Even frustrating. But that's the price of entry. Let's go deeper into something most people ignore, identity. When you commit to these kinds of hobbies, you're not just trying something new. You're changing who you are. You're no longer the person who wastes hours without thinking. You become the person who trains. Who learns. Who builds. And once that identity locks in, everything else follows. Think about it. A person who trains every day doesn't decide whether to work out. They just do it. A person who reads consistently doesn't wait for motivation. They just open the book. That's the level you're aiming for. Automatic discipline. Now let's talk about something uncomfortable. Your environment. If you're surrounded by people who don't take growth seriously, it's going to slow you down. Not because they're bad people, but because habits are contagious. Energy is contagious. Standards are contagious. So if you're trying to level up while everyone around you is staying the same, you're going to feel resistance. That's normal. But you have two choices. Lower your standards, or raise your environment. And here's the truth most people don't want to hear. You might outgrow certain people. Not out of ego, but out of direction. Because when you start focusing on growth, discipline, and purpose, your priorities change. And not everyone will understand that. That's okay. You're not here to be understood by everyone. You're here to become someone rare. Let's get practical again. How do you actually stick to these hobbies? You simplify. You don't try to do everything at once. Pick one or two. That's it. Go all in. Track your progress. Stay consistent. Because consistency beats intensity every time. Another mistake people make, they wait to feel ready. You're never going to feel ready. Confidence doesn't come before action. It comes from action. You start messy. You improve over time. That's how it works for everyone, even the people you look up to. Now imagine this version of yourself 6 months from now. Stronger. More skilled. More focused. More confident. Not because of luck, but because of what you chose to do with your time. That version of you is real. But only if you start now. Let me ask you something. If you keep doing exactly what you're doing today, where are you going to be in a year? Same habits. Same mindset. Same results. That's the default path. But the moment you take control of your time, you break that pattern. This is bigger than hobbies. This is about how you live. Do you react to life, or do you design it? Because the 1%. They design it. And here's something most people never realize. You don't need more time. You need better priorities. Even 1 hour a day, focused and intentional, can completely change your trajectory. That's 7 hours a week. Almost 30 hours a month. That's not small. That's transformation, if you use it right. Now let's lock this in. You've seen the list. You understand the mindset. The only thing left is execution. So here's what I want you to do right now. Don't overthink it. Pick one hobby from this video. Commit to it for the next 30 days. No excuses. No skipping. Just consistency. And I want you to make it real. Drop a comment right now with the one you're choosing. Not just for me, but for you. Because once you say it out loud, it becomes a commitment. If this video gave you even a small shift in perspective, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who needs it. Someone who's stuck. Someone who knows they should be doing more, but hasn't started yet. You might be the reason they finally do. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Because this isn't just motivation. This is about building a version of yourself that most people never reach. No shortcuts. No excuses. Just real growth. Remember this. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your habits. So build habits that make success inevitable. I'll see you at the top. Not where it's crowded, but where it's earned. At this point, you might be thinking, this sounds good, but how do I actually stay consistent when life gets busy? Fair question. Because motivation is unreliable. Some days you'll feel unstoppable. Other days, you won't feel like doing anything at all. And that's exactly where most people fall off. So here's the shift. You stop relying on how you feel, and you start relying on systems. Simple, repeatable systems. You decide a time. You decide a place. And you show up, no negotiation. Whether it's 30 minutes or 2 hours doesn't matter. What matters is that you show up. Because every time you show up when you don't feel like it, you're building something most people never develop. Self-trust. And once you trust yourself, everything changes. Let's break another illusion. People think the 1% are always motivated, always disciplined, always perfect. That's not true. They just don't quit when it gets boring. That's it. They keep going when it's repetitive. When progress is slow. When nobody is watching. That's the real game. Can you keep going when it's no longer exciting? Because that's where growth actually happens. Now let's talk about results. You won't see massive changes overnight. And that's a good thing. Because fast results fade fast. Real results take time. But when they show up, they last. Think of it like this. Every day you practice your hobby, you're making a small deposit. Skill. Confidence. Discipline. At first, it feels like nothing is happening. But over time, those deposits compound. And one day, people look at you and say, wow, you've changed. But they didn't see the days you showed up tired. They didn't see the moments you wanted to quit. They only see the result. And that's fine. Because this isn't about validation. It's about transformation. Now let's get even more real. There will be days you fail. You'll skip a session. You'll lose momentum. You'll doubt yourself. That's part of it. The difference is, do you stop completely? Or do you reset quickly? Because the 1% doesn't avoid failure. They recover faster. So if you miss a day, you don't spiral. You don't overthink it. You just get back on track the next day. Simple. Let's also talk about comparison. It's easy to look at someone who's ahead of you and feel behind. But you're not behind. You're just earlier in the process. Everyone you admire started exactly where you are. With zero experience. Zero confidence. Zero results. The only difference? They didn't stop. So stop measuring yourself against others. Measure yourself against who you were yesterday. That's the only comparison that matters. Now imagine this again. You stick with your chosen hobby. You show up consistently. You push through the hard days. Weeks pass. Months pass. And suddenly, you're not the beginner anymore. You're the one people start asking for advice. That's how fast things can change. Not overnight. But faster than most people expect, if you stay consistent. Let's bring this full circle. This video isn't about hobbies. It's about standards. What do you expect from yourself? Do you accept average effort? Or do you demand more? Because the moment you raise your standards, your habits rise with them. And your life follows. So here's the final challenge. No hype. No empty motivation. Just action. For the next 30 days. You commit. No excuses. No distractions. No, I'll start tomorrow. You start today. And when those 30 days are over, you don't stop. You build on it. Because this isn't a phase. This is a new baseline. Most people would have clicked off by now. But you didn't. And that matters, because attention is the first filter. If you can stay focused while everyone else is distracted, you're already separating yourself. Now let's sharpen this even more. Because knowing what to do is one thing. Executing when it's inconvenient, that's everything. There's going to be a moment, maybe later today, maybe tomorrow, where you'll feel that resistance. That voice in your head saying, I'll start later. I'm tired. It's not that important. That's the moment that defines you. Not when it's easy. Not when you're motivated. That moment. And most people lose right there. Not because they're incapable. But because they listen to that voice without questioning it. So here's what you do differently. You recognize it. You expect it. And when it shows up, you move anyway. That's discipline in its rawest form. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just quiet, consistent action. Let's talk about something powerful, momentum. Momentum is what turns effort into identity. At the beginning, everything feels heavy. You have to think about it. You have to push yourself. You have to remind yourself why you started. But once momentum builds, it gets easier. Not easy, but easier. You stop negotiating with yourself. You stop overthinking. You just do the work. And here's the part most people underestimate. Momentum doesn't come from big actions. It comes from small wins, repeated daily. One workout. One page. One session. One step forward. That's it. Do that consistently, and suddenly you're not stuck anymore. Now let's address something deeper. Fear. Fear of failure. Fear of judgment. Fear of not being good enough. These fears stop more people than lack of skill ever will. But here's the truth. Nobody is thinking about you as much as you think they are. People are too focused on their own lives. Their own problems. Their own insecurities. So the fear of being judged. It's mostly in your head. And even if someone does judge you, so what? They're watching. You're improving. There's a difference. Now let's flip the perspective. Instead of asking, what if I fail? Ask, what happens if I don't even try? A year from now. Will you be proud of the effort you made? Or will you still be thinking about starting? Because regret is heavier than effort. Every time. Let's make this practical again. When you finish this video, don't open another app. Don't scroll. Don't delay. Take one action immediately. If your hobby is training, do a workout. If it's learning, open the material. If it's creating, start making something. Even if it's messy. Even if it's short. Even if it's not perfect. Because starting changes everything. And once you start, you've already done what most people won't. Now here's something important. You don't need validation to continue. You don't need people clapping for you. You don't need instant results. You need consistency. That's it. Because consistency builds confidence. And confidence builds presence. And presence changes how people see you. Without you saying a word. Let's zoom out for a second. This is bigger than today. Bigger than this week. This is about trajectory. Direction. Who you're becoming over time. Because small actions, repeated long enough, create massive change. So don't underestimate what you're starting right now. It might feel small. It might feel insignificant. But it's not. It's the beginning of a different version of you. And that version moves differently. Thinks differently. Lives differently. Information. You already know enough. You know what habits build you. You know what distractions destroy your focus. You know exactly what you should be doing. So the real question isn't, what should I do next? It's, am I actually going to do it? That's the line. That's where people separate. Not in knowledge. In execution. Because knowledge without action is just entertainment. And if you've been consuming content like this for a while, but nothing in your life has changed, then you need to hear this clearly. Watching videos will not change your life. Taking action will. This video, it's just a spark. You're the one who has to build the fire. Now let's strip this down to the simplest form. No overthinking. No complexity. Pick one thing. Do it every day. Track it. Improve it. That's it. You don't need 10 habits right now. You don't need a perfect plan. You don't need to wait for the right time. You need to start. And then not stop. Because the magic everyone talks about, it's not magic. It's repetition. Doing something so many times that it becomes part of you. At first, it feels forced. Then it feels familiar. Then it becomes who you are. That's the process. And once you understand that, you stop chasing shortcuts. Because there aren't any. Let's talk about pride. Not ego. Not arrogance. Real pride. The kind that comes from knowing you did the work. Even when it was hard. Even when nobody saw it. Even when you didn't feel like it. That feeling. You can't fake it. You can't buy it. You earn it. And once you experience that, you won't want to go back to the old version of yourself. Because you'll realize something powerful. You're capable of more than you thought. Not because someone told you, but because you proved it to yourself. And that proof, it changes everything. Now let's close this the right way. No hype. No empty motivation. Just truth. Your life will reflect your habits. Every single time. If your habits are weak, your results will be weak. If your habits are strong, your results will follow. There's no way around that. So instead of focusing on outcomes, focus on what you do daily. That's where the real control is. And that's where the 1% wins. Quietly. Consistently. Relentlessly. So from this moment forward, make a decision. Not a temporary decision. Not something you try. A real decision. That you're done wasting time. That you're done making excuses. That you're done settling for less than you're capable of. And that you're ready to build something real. Step by step. Day by day. No shortcuts. No distractions. Just progress. If you're with me, you already know what to do. Comment your commitment. Subscribe if you're serious about growth. Share this with someone who needs to hear it.